This is Tabula Rasa reviewing another comic. We are grading off of these categories. If I like it, it gets a star. If I really like it, it gets a star plus. It's going to be out of 10, 5 being I will recommend it to other people, and anything above 5 means I really like it, and anything below 5, well, you get the idea. Okay, Shang Chi review of Volume 1. Writer by Jean Lewin Yang, artist by Dike Ruin, flashback artist Philip Tan, color artist Sebastian Cheng, VC Travis Landman is the letterer, published by Marvel Comics, released March 31st, 2021. Probably because the new movie is coming out in September. That's why they made this comic. Maybe, who knows? The writer, Jean Lewin Yang, was the guy who did Avatar The Last Airbender sequel comics, and those were done very well. He has also done some other stuff like Superman Smashes the Klan and American Born Chinese. So I was excited to see his name attached to Shang-Chi. I mean, the Monkey Prince from the DC Anthology series was decent enough, and at least this one won't be filled with Asian stereotypes perpetuated by white people whose understanding of Asia consists of food, kung fu films, and occasionally anime. So, how is Volume 1? Well, do the YouTube thing, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and all that fun stuff, and let's do this. First category, black, white slash color. This is a color comic. Dike Ruin and Sebastian Chang are very good artists, along with Philip Tan. It's stylized, it's consistent, which is great. The details in it are beyond what you would find in the early days of American comics when they talked about Asian people or showed Asian people, to basically the early 90s, and even then, sometimes even now at the time of this video. There are no issues with the art whatsoever. In fact, it's great as long as you look at each picture individually. But, that being said, I do give this a star. Panels and expressions. Let's see. This comic has pushed the limits of what American style paneling and expressiveness can do. Everything in it has its place, and changing it would totally change the tone and pace of the comic that has been set. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of this kind of paneling. I mean, sure, it does vary it up and it changes it, which is nice, but, it's just that, right? My eyes aren't bored, but that doesn't mean, it isn't, you know, that doesn't mean it's just not for me. Let's just put it that way, right? Usually these types of paneling have long periods of exposition dump. They're either dialogue or just text narrative boxes, and then you jump into the few panels or pictures of action, and then you move on. This is a styling choice, and you know, and just my personal opinion. So, it's good for the style. It's just that style isn't my thing. So I'm giving it a star. Characters and dialogue. All these characters seem like they're straight out of a Chinese kung fu film. Add that Marvel magic to it, and that's what Shang-Chi's characters feel like. Simple names, pretty good dialogue that doesn't sound like a stereotype, which is a plus. I mean, the names are like, Brother Hammer, or actually it's Sister Hammer, Brother Saber, Sister Dagger. I mean, simple, right? But ultimately not very memorable. But again, not really a high bar. Uh, Considering when you look at the history of how Asian people are depicted in Western media, I am just glad that the terms "for the honor of my family" or "you bring a great shame," that sort of ridiculousness wasn't said. So that's great. Star. Theme and execution. This being a Marvel comic book, there isn't really much regarding deep themes, I should say. I mean, there are themes, right? It's just not deep. This whole volume was about family, but less of the Lilo and Stitch kind of deepness and more like the Fast and the Furious kind, to say at the very least. The entire drama is revolved between Shang-Chi and his sister, Sister Hammer. Not a bad thing. just rather simplistic. So I'm just gonna give this a half a star. Plot and execution. Again, this being a Marvel comic book, there is a plot, but it really isn't very deep. There's always a sense of rush storytelling in American comic books. So there really isn't much in character development. You get the good guy, you get the bad guy, or in this case, bad gal. They fight. Good guy doesn't want to fight, doesn't want to kill the bad gal because they're family and everyone else who was in it. Well, I mean, some of them get some good lines, but really, it's kind of forgettable. Nothing really for the plot. Sister Hammer wants to take over the world, and Shang Chi has to stop her. Not really deep, not really complicated. Half star. In conclusion, well, I was excited when I read that Gene Luen Yang was involved in this. After all, he did do the Avatar comics, and that may have affected my review of Shang-Chi. After all, the Avatar comics were really good. And this is like, this is nice, I guess. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't the stereotypical depictions of Asian people. I mean, you do have the mysticism there and the martial arts. After all, this is a martial arts kind of thing. So, but it wasn't a dumb version of it made by white people who only understand it on a superficial level and sometimes not even that much. The story had no real build to it, and that is one problem I see with American comics is that because these characters do have a long history, they think that one page of backstory origin is enough to catch you up on the character, and it is if you're a diehard fan, but for casuals, for people not so diehard on Marvel or DC or American comics, it's not enough. I mean, if you tell me that I have to go read through some other comic books in order to get this one, it's just, that means it can't stand on its own, right? I mean, like, for example, like when I was reading through this, at the beginning it shows, hey, the origins of Shang-Chi's clan, right? Of the five families or whatever, right? Has a history. But why should I care, right? They fight Fin Fang Foom. Cool scene. Why should I care? Yes, the Hammer Woman is related to Shang-Chi, and they both have dad issues. But again, why should I care? And considering how much one could pay for this comic, I mean, for the same cost, you'll have more fun reading One Piece or Naruto, right? Or, you know, just that. So why should I care? Was the main thought when I was reading through this, and it's kind of a shame because I really like the writing styles of Gene Luen Yang. So for that, I gave it 4 stars. I can't really recommend this one. You want better stuff done by Gene Luen Yang. There are out there, plenty out there. This one is just meh, right? If you made it this far, I'd like to thank you for listening to me on my review of Shang-Chi. Feel free to leave a comment. That always does help. I like reading those, the little that I do get. Hope you do enjoy this sort of thing. Hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff to help support the channel. Thank you, and I hope you are having a good day or evening. Ciao.